If we get some people to join, recording in progress. If you guys can see us, say hi. We honestly don't know how many people are here. Look, we got 15 people. All right. We are live. We don't have our back end person tonight. If you're new to us, my name's Steve, and we're with CJ, the founder and owner of WNM Properties. We help people invest remotely in the Midwest. If you live in an expensive area somewhere that it's really hard to find good rental properties, maybe you live in a state that doesn't have good rental laws, it's not landlord friendly, you can end up with squatters. Maybe you have a place where you're going to spend $500,000 for a single family. It's going to negative cash flow. We show you how to invest in the Midwest. CJ, how are you doing tonight?
Good. Just finished up dinner, so I'm ready.
Awesome. Well, we have quite a list of things to go through. So what we did was we pulled a list of questions from our community, from people that follow us on Facebook and Instagram, YouTube, as well as people that know us from Hawaii and California. And we pulled out some questions. I've got them in front of me, but we're just going to kind of riff on them. If you're new to investing and you have a question, maybe you're actually been investing for a while and you're trying to figure it out, put them in the chat. We're live with you. We're happy to answer them. That's why we are here. So I'm going to start with a lot of people that I've talked to lately are in their 50s and early 60s. And they're like, hey, I don't have enough money for retirement. Is this a vehicle that will actually get me there? It's kind of a general opening question, but I thought it was a good one.
Yeah, I mean, it can be. There's so many vehicles, and what we do, I feel I'm biased, honestly, because I've found success with it. And that's my parents' story right there. They 50 to 60, right on the verge of retirement, but feeling the pain of the cost of living in Hawaii, not feeling like it was going to be enough, that they had to push out retirement and continue working, but saw that we were doing what we were doing in real estate. And it took years for me to get them on board. Quite frankly, my dad did not like the idea. He actually, stories out there already, but he actually disowned me for a season because he genuinely thought, and later on we found out it was just his fear and uncertainty around not understanding how to do what we do. But he disowned me for about 2.5, 3 years because he didn't want me to bring down the family name. He didn't want to be associated with any losses. It was just like, it was painful for him.
Yeah, that's a pretty powerful story. I mean, there are a lot of people. My mom cried when I told her I was going to buy a duplex. She started crying. She's like, don't do it. You'll get sued. But she didn't threaten to disown me. That's a pretty powerful story.
It is. And 3 years later, when things didn't fall apart and we were on the verge of, I want to say we were at 40, coming up on 50 doors at that point, is when he realized I need help. And he opened up, shared that he was afraid, and no hesitation on my part to say, let's get you out. And within a matter of 2 years, I got him retired early. And this is right around that age bracket that you brought up. But it took a lot of uncomfortable. It took a lot of urgency on his part to move as fast as they did to get to the result that they wanted. But he leveraged our 3.5+ years of experience and 40 to 50 doors proven track record that it can be done. I think that was the pivotal piece, was he wasn't doing it alone.
Not doing it alone. I've seen so many investors, like, they hear that they can make money and then they jump in with both feet, but they don't want to pay for coaching. They don't want mentorship. They don't even want to ask questions. Instead, They want to say, I can figure this out. It doesn't seem that hard. You buy the property, you rent it for more than you bought it for. You're going to do well. And there's so many moving pieces. So that actually leads really nicely into the next question. You can answer this through your dad's lens, or we can just talk about it through a client lens. If you want to reach retirement, I have two questions, actually. Let me back up one. What's the mistake that you see most people, or it's not even the mistake, that you said your dad had a lot of fear? I think a lot of people have fear. I hear that when I talk to people all the time. I would invest, but I'm scared I'm going to have a bad tenant. I'm scared the roof is going to fall in. I'm scared of a foundation issue. What's the thing that gets them over the fear hump? And what's the number one fear that you see inside the program? Let's start.
Geez, loaded questions off the bat, Steve. What gets them over fear is action. My acronym I like to say around fear is false evidence appearing real. It's usually created and made up, but there's no tangible or relatable result that you've experienced. And maybe if you did, what did you learn from it? Because obviously something didn't work, and not everything you're going to do for the first time, like investing in real estate, is going to hit perfect on the first go around. That's just not realistic. Is it possible? Yes. And now it might be a unicorn. And that's why, what do they say? Oh, you got lucky. But the repetition takes away the luck aspect. Now it's a skill.
Right.
So action taking to me helps people get over fear quicker, less information. Because that knowledge in your head doesn't move you forward, right? It's a feel good. I know about it, but do you realize it's true? Can you implement it? And so the action. And then what was the second question?
Well, let's go a little further with that. So taking action, I definitely agree with you. I'm a huge action taker. If you start taking action, you're going to start getting results. In the program, when people come in and they're scared, where I've always seen people get stuck is either making the first offer, or they've made the offer, they're under contract, and now they're getting close to closing and they really start sweating. What are the things that we do specifically in WNN to help people over that? Because that's the thing, right? Like, you're investing in a house 2,000 miles away. You've never seen it. You can't touch it.
Yeah.
How do we help people get over that hump?
One of the things that I like that we do, that we implement, is break it down to manageable steps. Because oftentimes you're looking at, oh, I'm going to close this deal, or how am I going to handle the tenant? How am I going to manage the team from so far away? You haven't even made a single offer. So why are we looking that far ahead? Jazz likes to say, stop looking at step 27. Let's look at step 2, right? So we break it down into manageable steps that takes that overwhelm and fear and uncertainty and minimizes it. It's always going to be there. And we challenge you to come up with the courage to take the step, because the courage is not the absence of fears. The courage is having fear and still doing it anyway, right? So we challenge you through courage, and we allow you to borrow some of our confidence, some of our hope, our faith, our knowledge, our experience, our teams, to get you in motion. Because when you're in motion, you're creating that momentum, and that momentum can take you beyond fear because you're staying in action.
Yeah.
Right? So the step-by-step, manageable step-by-step is one of the key pieces, I think, that helps to get people past those little hurdles. Like, how do I make that first offer? How do I talk to an agent? We break it down to where it's real easy for you to implement.
Awesome. And I think that's the thing, right? Like, not just, oh, you're going to go talk to your agent. Here's a script. Let's role play it. Here's some example calls. Here's what this looks like. So I want to actually share, this is a story from the community, right? There was a property that was $140,000. You told them to counter the offer. We got it under contract for around 130. We did the due diligence on it. We got it under contract for 112. I'll let you pick up the story from there.
Yeah, I mean, this person was very scared. First transaction, didn't think it was even possible to get it under contract, far less than what initially was under contract on, let alone use the tangible facts that we found that weren't disclosed, which is your right as a buyer to present a resolution for unacceptable conditions, to renegotiate a deal, because now you know something that wasn't known when you first offered. And through our process that we teach, it's formulating calculated offer to renegotiate around facts, not facts around perspective on, well, I don't like the color of the wall. It's like facts around life safety issues, things that will cause you to not be able to put a person in safely and create a safe, livable environment to produce that rental income that we're seeking. So what we did is we worked through the fear, because that report definitely showed some stuff that caused this investor to go, oh my gosh, I got to cancel. That was their first reaction. It's like, oh my gosh, I got to cancel. I'm like, whoa, let's slow it down. Where does the opportunity lie with the information we have now versus the pictures and disclosures you were given first. So we went back and we cross-referenced everything, which is part of our process. We're not going to allow the emotion to say, well, let's just cancel. We're going to propose solution because we're still in it. Now the seller gets to disclose this if we cancel. They may be more open and motivated to work with me, or in this case, the investor, to find a solution, knowing that it might be riskier to throw it out there and now have to disclose. Here's all the other things wrong that I honestly didn't know was wrong with my property. And here's the report attached. Now they're going to put themselves in a position where people may not want to buy it. They're going to have to come down on price. It's going to sit vacant longer and all these potential problems. So let's provide solution. And that's what we did. We offer, my strategy is 3 options. I always like to give 3 options. I never want to make the seller feel pressure to take it or leave it. I'm here to work with you. We have a common problem. You want to sell, I want to buy. Let's work together. And the conversation usually starts around some sort of credit or work or a combination of the two. And based on how they respond, we'll digest it, rerun our numbers, and make sure it falls in our ranges we originally were running. And then we say yes or no. And investor didn't want to really do that. Investor's like, no, this is not salvageable. There's no way they're going to come down. And through the courage and confidence building of the network and our community, encouraging them to just trust the process, put it in front of them, let me help you formulate it, which we did on a call. They put it out there reluctantly. Lo and behold, seller came back, got it at that lower number, and they were just blown away with the thought that they would even be open to that. They basically gave the investor, the buyer, exactly what they wanted. How do you turn away a deal now? And It comes back down to the thing me and Jazz always like to share with new investors. If you don't offer or ask, it's an automatic no. So at least have the seller tell you no, and then the courage and confidence to come back and say, okay, so what are you proposing? Because these things don't match. What you shared with me on my original offer and what I found through due diligence don't match. I'm still interested. Tell me how we can make this deal work. Make them have to respond. Well, I like to say, have the seller cancel. That's what I like to shoot for.
I mean, you're actually showing up in an attitude of like collaboration, right? Yes. I know there's some deal here. It doesn't seem like things were exactly as presented. I get it. You're trying to get top dollar. How can we make this work? So she ended up buying the property for 112. And then the next 2 pieces here, super light rehab, right? Like you said, like 25, 30K in rehab.
Not even. This one in particular, we got the credit, but then found out it was just a service issue. It wasn't a replacement issue. And we were able to cut the rehab in half. I believe the investor spent like 13 grand. The original bid was 30.
Okay.
Right? So we got 20 was or some 20 and some change is what we were asking for, because there was major items that we wanted to make sure we covered, and they gave it to us. And then we found out with our teams, we can salvage this and service it rather than replace it and just prepare to replace it down the road, because we got the credit for it. So we put away for it, but we just serviced it so we can get it safe and livable and performing.
That's perfect. And then so we then got it reappraised. What was the appraisal value?
I believe that one appraised at 160.
So right there, we ended up with 30K in equity.
Give or take. Yep.
And that gives you enough to then move to the next property. How do you keep, like, people always ask me, like, okay, I have enough to buy one property, but how do I grow? If you guys are joining us live, the guy that I'm with here, his name's CJ. He's the founder of WNM Properties. We help people remotely invest out of state. So if you want to know how to buy a cash flowing property in the Midwest, prices are usually $100,000 to $150,000 a property. Cash flow is somewhere between $300 and $500 a month. Sometimes we can even eke out a little bit more. We help people do that. So remotely investing out of state. To this point, we've helped hundreds of people in Hawaii get their portfolio going. In Hawaii, most places negatively cash flow. You're all going for appreciation, plus their start at $800,000 and up. We show you how to buy houses in places you can afford, and they're not dumps. They're not in bad locations. We look in good locations, good school systems, low crime, and landlord friendly. I want to go down the rabbit hole of one other property, just because this is, people are like, well, why should I work with somebody? You just saved that person $30,000 on their asking price. They also wouldn't have got the property at all if you hadn't been involved, if the community hadn't been there. We have one other that got $44,000 off of the asking. Do you want to tell that story?
Sure.
Okay. Go for it.
Sorry,
I'm throwing you the ball.
Yeah. Which one was this one? So this one was 44,000. I want to say it was listed at like 145. No, this one was listed at 165. Excuse me. It was listed at 165. We were able to do the same process, do the due diligence, work with the investor to not give up on the project because the lengthy rehab and the size of rehab that they weren't prepared for. Presented the facts, was able to get the seller to come down from it to a more manageable price, right? And then post-close, we did the same thing. We brought in our team and we cross-checked and verified to make sure what's a need versus a want, and how do we be very strategic with our placement of capital through rehab to make this livable and safe and sound, but also produce top dollar and shoot for the higher appraised value. And that's what we did. So we altered that rehab number we used to negotiate to make it make the most sense for the investor. And I want to say this one appraised at 215. This is the same.
Pretty awesome, right?
Yeah. So I want to, they're all in like 150-ish, 145, 150-ish with holding costs. And it appraised at 215. And I just got word that it's rented for just under $1,600.
Okay, so it's cash flowing. She's got equity. She saved a ton on the purchase price. People always ask, one of the questions we get is, how do you find such great deals? If you're one of the people that's hanging out watching us, if you have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. We're live. I have a list of about 15 or 20 left, but if you have live questions, we're here to help you. Drop them in the chat. And if you want to know how we help people, I dropped my booking link in the chat as well. You can copy and paste that in your browser. That will get you on a call with me. We'll spend 30 minutes talking. CJ, I'm going to throw you the ball.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm going to go back to the question. So you just walked through how you saved that money, right? Yeah. We cut 44 off. How do we find deals? Because you found that deal, right?
Yeah.
It had been on the MLS. This isn't something that was like listed and we bought the next day. This has been on the MLS for months.
Yes.
I want you guys to listen to this, because this is the number one question I get. How do you find great deals?
I don't. I create them. And if I'm going to sit waiting for that perfect deal, I'll miss it every single time. So instead, I am actively pursuing within my desired strategic ranges that I work with deals that fit my buy box. And we always talk about ranges in our community simply because we're not looking for perfection when we're pre-offer. We're looking for general. What does it need to be in ballpark for me to say, okay, this is worth pursuing, locking up, and going through due diligence? Just like the two stories we just talked about, we find stuff almost 99.9% of the time. You're finding something that's a discrepancy in your inspection period. So if you thought you were accurate when you initially offered, you're not going to be accurate when you're in due diligence. And that's why we operate within ranges. So we have the grace of simply not knowing what we don't know. But now we get to trust and verify through the process of due diligence, get the inspection reports, get our team members out, cross-reference rental ranges, ARVs, after repair values, like whatever our strategy is. But that's the creation aspect. You have to first have a deal under contract to even attempt to create the deal. Both of them were created while I silenced the noise, while all other buyers were no longer a possibility, because we, seller and investor, or seller and I, were under contract, contractually bound to one another, agreed upon terms and everything. Now I can just work direct with the seller without the noise of the background. And that's where the creation happens. But the skill set lies, like I shared, both investors' first deal chosen to fear. False evidence appearing real. There's no way seller's going to come down. There's no way I can make this rehab work. There's no way it's going to appraise or rent. All these made up scenarios because they simply haven't created that result yet. And that's where borrowing the courage, the confidence, the experience, the network, the team, the community got them just a smidge enough of courage to say, I'm scared and I'm going to do it anyway.
That is I'm scared and I'm going to do it anyway. When I started buying things, I was a bartender. I was in college. I had no money. I had no idea what I was doing. And like, it took me 6 months to get over that hump. And I was surrounded by people that did support me. There's a question in the chat. I'm going to bring it back. And then I have a question around fear, but Melanie asks, being a landlord, what are the most important things to know? I know we could go a lot of directions. I'll give my one or two. Mine would be always cash flow first. Don't ever buy a property expecting appreciation or expecting something down the road. You always buy for cash flow now. Always buy in a good location. I don't do Section 8. I don't do war zones. I only do good locations. And the third one is pick great tenants. In my opinion, it's better to be vacant for a month and have a really good tenant. But those are my three. CJ, what do you got?
I mean, very similar to yours. The only other thing I can think of is make sure you have supporting teams that can operate in the vicinity that you're buying so that you're not an active landlord, meaning you're self-managing. And I was just talking with somebody today around self-management, the perception of saving the money versus creation. You can only save so much. And there's endless possibility of creation. And it's a skill set a lot of people are afraid to learn. So back to fear is I got to trust somebody to do this. Well, in day-to-day, we trust a lot of things that we have no control over. I choose to believe I have a lot more control over teams when I develop the relationship with them, that we find common ground and we have a common goal in sight, right? So like a property manager, they want doors to manage. I want a large portfolio, common goal. How do we come together to achieve it for both of us? Win-win, collaboration, cooperation. That's an important piece. So team members.
You know more about team than me. My story, I was self-managing everything. I was burning myself out. I was the horror story, right? I was the plumber, the electrician, the roofer, the everything.
2 a.m. calls.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. All of it. Well, when I started buying, this will date me a little bit. When I started buying, we didn't have cell phones. Like we had the really old, like it had like it was like a pyramid that slid on the back. Yeah. And like I got a cell phone bill once for like $500. And I was like, nope, I don't need that thing. I still had the tape answering machine, right? That's when I started, but I was doing all of it. You know about teams. So Melanie, you ask about this. How much is a property manager? Actually, this is a great question. Let's talk a little bit about team, because this is remotely investing out of state. When I started, it would have been a lot harder. We didn't have all the tools that we had now.
Yeah.
So how do let's walk through what the team looks like and how we find good team members, because this is, I think, the thing that allows us to invest out of state.
And it allows you to scale. So real quick on the self-managing and being an active landlord, you are capping yourself because you can only be at one place at one time solving one problem, versus the skill set of managing and leading teams allows you to find the who for any situation or problem you're trying to solve. And there's endless possibilities out there, only limited to your capability of finding and creating that relationship with the team member. So scalability, person self-managing is going to be a lot slower in scaling if they have to do everything, versus learning how to lead teams and then you delegate. Our strategy puts you in the position where you don't really have much of a choice. It is not simple to manage thousands of miles away in different time zones, in cities you've never been to, dealing with different types of laws and regulate, like you just don't know so much. It doesn't serve or benefit you to try to do it on your own. So it kind of forces your hand into this uncomfortable position. And we typically teach the core four, the four main team members you're going to need. First is always agent. Agent's the gateway to everything you would need because they're oftentimes master networkers and they have a contact for almost every team member you as an investor would likely need at some point, right? The next would be your property manager because they're the one in our strategy is going to take over the property after your acquisition. Third's your lender because you're going to want to put a loan on it at some point or buy it with a loan. And the last one, where sometimes the last one is always sought first, which is your contractor. And I like to bring up contractors get paid per job. How are you going to keep a contractor loyal to you if you're not buying something that needs work? And how often are you doing work to the point where they can be loyal to you because they know work's coming? So that's why I always suggest we can wait on the contractor until you get that conviction around I can do this and scale quickly like we did. When you're running 30 projects that are 30 rehabs, that was my largest number of rehabs I've ever done at any given point. I could have a loyal contractor because I was pretty much their machine, right? Yeah. But it was hard to retain if I didn't have that volume, right? And that came after confidence. It came after a small portfolio created. Came after I understood how to lead agents and property managers and work with lenders. Came after I could see how to create deals through renegotiation, not just looking for that diamond in the rough off of the MLS or off market. So it's a process that we evolve into. But the core four, your four team members are the ones that you're going to want to fixate on at some capacity, depending on your strategy, risk tolerance, and your speed of growth.
Those core four, the first one's your realtor. So I'm just going to throw some pieces out there for you to talk about. I do see more questions in the chat. I'm going to come back to them. So realtor, one thing I always tell people, like, you want to look for a realtor that specializes in investment properties. And if you can find one that's out of state investor specific, how does that different than a normal realtor? Because you're right. A great realtor is the rock star of your team. They're going to connect you to everybody else, and they're going to be the ones sending you properties. Andy, I see your question about tax liens. This actually ties to that, but I'm going to let CJ answer this because this is the most important question right here.
Yeah.
How do you find properties? Go ahead.
How do I find agent team members? Is that
okay? Like good agents.
It's like deals. It's a volume game. So I've probably worked with well over 400 agents in the last 11 and a half years I've been doing this. Because agents, anybody that knows a real estate agent, if they're not committed and successful and driven to be that rock star agent, it's a short season and it's a very volatile position because if you don't close, you don't get paid, and you can only go so long without making money before you start to look other places. So I've worked with a lot of agents, and it's really the interview. We harp and teach a lot about interviewing team members, especially agents on the front end, because think about their profession. We're all in sales and they are in sales. You're selling in some places $1 million, multi-million-dollar property. So they have a skill set to convince what they can do. They will talk, they'll promote. And until you put that into action, this is where I don't want to be told what you can do. I want you to show me what you can do. You don't really know if you got a rockstar agent or not. What I found worked best for me is I used to join a bunch of free meetup groups in the markets I was in and put out there, hey, I'm an out-of-state investor looking to connect with an investor-friendly agent. And I got spammed. I would get spammed. And I would interview every single one of them. Because the more I interviewed, the better my questions got, the more clear around who I thought I would want to work with and who I definitely didn't. Because there were some agents that were very used car salesmen, like nothing against used car salesmen, and they're very pushy, right? Here's what I can do. Here's how great I am. Here's why you need to work with me. I can make you a lot of money. But when you ask the valid questions, like how many investors have you worked with? How many deals have you closed? Oh, don't worry about that. Let's just work together. Like the dodging and avoiding. I want somebody who is transparent. Like, no, I've worked with 15 out-of-state investors this last year. We closed on 40 plus deals. I focus on this zip code and this neighborhood.
Very correct.
Yeah. I can work with that versus I'll help you buy anything and anywhere.
No, you won't.
No. I probably won't see you as an agent in a year or two.
So, Andy, I'm pointing to your question about a tax or mechanic lien. You can come across those. What I hear in the question, and I am inferring because I'm on this side of the camera and I can't talk with you, but the idea is, how do we find really good deals? People that are looking at courthouse steps, they're looking to buy foreclosures, they're looking at tax liens. Those things do work, but it is a specialty skill set. Number one, that takes a lot of time and practice. And number two, it's got a lot of competition, but you can easily sidestep that because what you're really looking for is a good deal. And I kind of want to go back to what CJ said. There are thousands of good deals right in front of you. The deal that we talked about where the person walked away with $60K in equity had been on the market for more than 4 months. Nobody had made an offer. Nobody had gone through the due diligence and worked with the seller to get that deal. The other deal, she had 30K in equity. Same thing. It had been on the market for months. Nobody had gone through the due diligence. This is really about going through, saying this would probably be in the right thing. Let's start like in the right ballpark. Let's talk to the seller. Let's do some due diligence. CJ, I don't know if you have any thoughts around that.
Tax liens and buying these like courthouse properties. I know a lot of people back in Hawaii that's their fixation, and not saying you can't find deals like you said, but oftentimes I'm talking with them a year later and they still are waiting for that deal versus just starting. Get something, because how do you know what a great deal is if you've never done a deal? And it's not a knock on your capability of creating or finding a great deal. It's if you don't have a result, what are you measuring off of? Somebody else's result? Like what we created in the space with this investor and this investor may not be your experience on your first deal because you weren't in their financial position. You weren't in the space or in the market at that time, working with that agent, making that offer with that skill, with this advisor. Like there's too many variables that created those results that you're not going to mirror. So let's fixate on how to get you your initial result, because that's your baseline you always want to beat. Think of it like when you first start working out. We use gym analogies a lot, right, Steve, in what we do? Yeah. So when you first start working out and you haven't worked out before, or you haven't done it in a while, you want a baseline. Where's my bench at? Where's my squat at? Where's my leg press at? Where's my hand cleaning at? Where are these at? And that's your mark. Your goal is to slowly get better over time, not go from 100-pound bench to 500 tomorrow. That's not realistic. But the creep up, increasing reps, increasing weights, increasing strength, like it's a process. That's where we want to dial everybody in, because the perfection deal will keep you on the sideline because you're going to always be waiting.
Yeah. I think it's also fear. I think people are like, I want to find the perfect deal. I talked to somebody last week that they found a deal that was like, it was going to be a little bit over $400 a month in cash flow. And they're like, it's not good enough. You're turning down $400. Like really, I don't want to take action until it's absolutely perfect. Then you never end up getting there.
Yeah. And what is your ideal cash flow? If not 400, what is it? 500, 600, 1,000? All of those numbers are hittable if you're willing to do something about it and be open to different possibilities than what you thought it was going to look like.
Right. Okay. So next question. This is a great one. Melanie, it's a follow-up. She says, when is the right time to get a property manager?
When you're about to close on a rental property that's ready to perform. Like maybe a week out from closing would be my suggestion. Obviously, it varies if you're going to do rehab and all these other variables. But assuming you're buying a rental property that's either performing or ready to be performing, doesn't need any major work and could be going on market right away, you want to tee it up slightly before closing so that you have a head start on them giving you the feedback and the preparation for them to list.
That's it right there. I would say the sooner you get a property manager, don't try to do anything yourself. I actually like, once you have a couple properties, I actually like sending the property manager to look at the place that I might buy, because they're going to give you a lot of data. Like, they can share with you a lot of things that you might not otherwise see. If you have questions, put them in the chat. There's 2 more up here that I want to touch on. After buying the house, do you work with a property management person to take care of everything? Find the renter, collect monthly, deposit it in my bank account.
That's basically their job. Yes.
The one caveat, I know we've talked about this. So one of the ways that I think causes a lot of pain for people with property managers is the garbage disposal breaks. What does a normal property manager charge to fix a garbage disposal, CJ?
Just under your threshold of needing approval. That's really it, right? So I don't know what my property manager from one of my residentials in contract with has a $300 threshold, meaning any repair under 300, I don't need to approve. They can just do it and take care of it. And lo and behold, whenever there's a fix, it's $299.
Yep. So how do you sidestep that? How do we find property managers? Because that's the nightmare, right? Yeah. Oh, they had to fix something small and now it's ate up 6 months of cash flow.
Yeah. I wouldn't say sidestep it. It's just developing the relationship, because any new relationship, you're going to go through ups and downs. Just like if you're in a relationship with a boyfriend, girlfriend, or husband, wife, like me and Jazz don't always get along and we don't always see eye to eye, but we talk through it in hopes of finding common ground to move forward amicably and in good standing. You do the same with your property manager. So when this happens, I have conversations with them like, hey, what was the $299 for? It was for the disposal. Okay, so the disposal was fixed 3 times this year. Why did the disposal need to be fixed 3 times? I see that there's a problem here. Oh, we sent the tech out to clear it out because food was in it. Okay, so if food's in it, is that misuse from the tenant?
Good
so now
question.
Clarifying why their repair is needed so often. What are they putting down there that shouldn't be going down there? And that led to us writing in leases that if certain things like this transpire with a tenant and it's found that it's misused, the tenant is now responsible for the work order, not me, right? And this varies in your state. This varies with your team members. And in my particular situation, we were able to build this into the lease, not because I quit on them or fired them. Rather, I worked through the opportunity of figuring out where's the disconnect. They're on my team. And if I can't trust them with my property, why am I working with them?
Right.
And if there's a problem that comes up, it is my job to bring it to the attention that I'm in disagreement. Let's come together and discuss how we can move forward still. So we work through that. Now, no garbage disposal fixes.
Yeah. It's funny how that works. I mean, the other thing, like I always tell them, like when I had property managers, I was like, I have my own contractor. You tell me when it's a big job and we'll take care of that side of it. Like just having clear communication, which is what you touched on, being willing to talk through it with them. And sometimes those are difficult conversations. Do you still have difficult conversations from time to time?
100%. We're dealing with humans. I make mistakes, they make mistakes. And the one thing that I give permission to my team members is for them to call me out if I am not operating to the capacity or agreement that I agreed with them. Right. So an example would be is if I'm working with a property manager and then there's a repair that's needing my attention. And I told them I will respond within 24 hours of notification to approve or deny the request. And I wait a week. They can call me out and say, CJ, you said you'd respond in 24 hours. We are putting the tenant's safety in jeopardy. We need you to make a decision. Now I have a choice. Do I take that offensively or do I take it as constructive feedback saying, hey, CJ, get back on track. We agreed to this. Let's uphold it. And the interesting thing I've learned over the years is if I lead by example, they're more likely to mirror my leadership style.
Sure.
So if I keep my end of the bargain, my good team members that I have long-standing relationships with keep theirs because they know they can count on me. I don't want to be the problematic investor. I want to be the easy investor to work with because he's very communicative. He makes decisions quickly, and he's not second guessing or questioning their expertise necessarily. I will seek clarification when I don't understand something, like the 3 fixes, but I'm not going to call them out saying, "Why'd you send the tech out?" Well, I understand why you sent the tech out, but how do we prevent this from happening a 4th time?
Right. I mean, that's good management and it's good leadership. And that's something that y'all learn. I mean, you've been doing this for almost 12 years now. Like, there are a lot of lessons in there.
Yes.
I guess so. I want to talk a little bit about the Midwest. So this is one of the questions right here, and it's like, how can one bad tenant cause you problems, and how does the Midwest, investing in the Midwest, fix that?
One bad tenant can cause you problems by not paying, destroying your property, not allowing entry, all these things that are often dealt with by the property manager, which is another incentive to not self-manage because that's not fun to deal with. But the Midwest, typically in the markets we're investing in, are very landlord friendly. So we have a lot more rights and a lot more solution to deal with a problematic tenant versus like back in Hawaii. I mean, I know of somebody who's experienced a 2-year eviction, 2 years of non-paying. And if you're $1 million house and your mortgage is, I don't know, $5,000, $6,000, that's $120,000 plus in a 2-year span, or more, that you're forking out in hopes to get your property back in a decent enough condition to either sell or rent again. Most people can't survive that. Versus in the Midwest, we're buying 100 to 150 is our typical buy range. And your mortgage payment's like $400 to $600, depending on your rate and your qualification. A lot more sustainable, but our evictions don't take 2 years. They can take 30, 60 days.
I mean, just having an eviction that can take 30 days is a lifesaver. Like California, Hawaii, other states, you can squat in for, I mean, California's 2 years, which is crazy. Like, that's where you hear the nightmares. Yeah. So I want to go back to like remote investing. People tell me like, I can't reach out, I can't touch the property. How am I going to know if the property, like the numbers work, but how am I going to know if it's a good property?
What would you need to know to make sure it's a good property would be my question. I'm always asking questions. So if I'm afraid of something, I need to ask, well, what do I need to not be afraid of it? And if I'm not willing to ask myself that question, then I'm choosing to allow fear to dictate my decision. And if I were to make it more tangible for somebody on the newer side, it would be, well, who do you trust, or how do you get somebody that you can trust to verify for you? One person in our community felt the same way. Once they got a hold of a good agent that they trusted, because that agent worked directly with me before and we've transacted. So I have history of success with the agent. They borrowed that trust and that confidence. And what the agent ended up doing was FaceTiming that investor while walking a property that they were going to go under contract on, to know, okay, the photos weren't AI. The photos weren't Photoshopped. This is a real property. Here's the real address. Here's the real street. I'm standing right in front of it, selfie mode. Like, if that's what it took, working with a trustworthy agent will make sure you are confident enough you're not buying some swampland in the middle of nowhere with no property on it, but it's AI designed.
Right?
And that's a valid concern with all the tech out there now, that you can AI so many things and not really know if it's real or not. It looks so real. But when you have teams who you can trust, core fours, and know how to build them properly, that won't stop you from doing the verification. Yeah. And then to the second part, well, I can't touch, see, feel. Well, what if you could? How would that change anything for you? Do you know how to fix the property? Do you know how to rent the property? At some point, you will be inexperienced in some capacity, And we'll still need to delegate out, or you're going to own the factory, you're going to self-manage, you're going to grow one property a year at a time till when? Till you burn out?
The question, like, kind of backing up what you say, even if you walk into a house, do you know how to tell if the plumbing is good? Do you know how to tell if the electrical is up to code? Do you know how to tell if the roof is going to go bad? What you're really looking for in that answer is security, and you will have much more safety and security sending a team to go look at the house. You're going to get, a home inspector, which we would always use a home inspector. You're never going to buy a house without one. It's going to give you a binder that has everything in the world in it. You walking in the house, you're not going to see 1/10 of what they see.
Yeah.
But it's really about the safety and security. And sometimes, going back to kind of where we started, sometimes safety and security, like, you can have everything and you're still going to be a little scared. You're still going to be a little nervous. You want to have an investment portfolio, you've got to start. And after you get the first property, the second property is a whole lot easier. And the third property, you don't even think about it as a house anymore. You think of it as an investment.
Right.
That's what I tell people. Like, once you hit 3 or 4, like, you'll forget what the addresses are sometimes, which is pretty funny. You'll forget what they look like. But what you won't forget is when the money hits your bank account.
Exactly.
That's right. That's pretty easy one. I guess, we've gone through a version of most of the questions. We went through the team. We went through finding good tenants. If you guys have questions, put them in the chat. We're still here. We've got another 15 minutes. The other question that I guess I'll ask you, this one comes up from time to time. People are like, well, what happens after I get 3 or 4 houses? Am I going to have to manage all of the managers? How does that happen? Like, how do I scale? There's 2 questions to this. The one is team, and the second one is financing.
Yeah. Well, if we were worried about managing and you only have 3 or 4 doors, just know an average property manager, single property manager running his own shop, is likely capable of managing upwards of 200 properties. So you're not even a blip on their portfolio. And if you can't work with somebody who is capable of managing a couple hundred doors, that's more of a leadership investor mindset shift that we need to have break down that barrier that you're capable of leading somebody to get to larger amounts. The second part that keeps people from scaling is less the team member. It's more of finance, capital. How do I keep funding these deals? Well, like with anything, you start off with the more simpler path would be my suggestion. Just get a property, not a lot of work, not a lot of risk, easy to perform, create a positive result and build off of that and improve each time. At some point, you're going to want to start shifting to learning how to buy things either all cash or creatively so you can maximize your ability to scale with less or the least amount of money coming out of your pocket, which only happens when you have the conviction of this works. Oftentimes when people need to come in and from day one, they have no money, it's really challenging because the mindset isn't there and they're not willing to put in the hustle. You have to be willing to put in the work in order to scale your portfolio because nobody's going to scale it for you. It's your responsibility.
So that's a good answer. I guess there are a couple of different ways we can go with this. If you guys are listening to this, if you want to see how we help people invest out of state, my link is in the chat. I think where I want to go, we had one guy come in the program. He had less than $1,000. He had a credit score of 530, so bottom of the barrel. But within a year, he had 11 properties. How do you hustle that hard? Or was it a year and a half, right?
About a year, 12 months. Yeah. Pure drive and commitment to creating results and understanding you're going to have resistance every step of the way, but that doesn't mean you can't achieve it. And it's very few people can actually do that. So when people say, oh, I want to do this, but that kind of already disqualifies you because you already created the but. And my mentor used to tell me, you say things and then you add the but, everything before the but doesn't count anymore because you're negating it. Right. So this person came in with, what do I need to do? Show me the way. And through hell and high water, through highs and lows, through the valleys, just kept going. You got 1,000 no's, get 1,001 no's, get 1,002, and you just keep going. And that pure resolve and resilience, the persistent of the pursuit of success, got this person the 11 properties in about a year, and none of it came from their own money.
So I want you guys to hear that. None of that came from their own money. It's a lot of the people in the program come in, they have some money. We show them how to get their first property, second property, and build from that. It is possible. I started with no money as well. I had less than $500. I was a bartender in college. And it took me 6 months of calling on the old school phone, like pick up, beep, 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 calling. But you just keep doing it and you'll get there. So Melanie says, wow, I want to be like that. We're giving you some of the playbook right here. Melanie, I invite you to book a call with me. The link is up there in the chat. I'm happy to walk you through this. What does tax time look as a landlord?
Depends on your tax professional you work with. And I'll answer that is from our perspective and our experiences. I'd say the first third of our growth, our portfolio build, the first 3 or 4 years, we used a traditional tax person that was running my family's taxes for year after year, and great W-2 tax provider. Knew nothing about real estate, let alone real estate for investing, let alone real estate for investing out of state. So there was a lot of money left on the table for those 3 to 4 years. But then we found through networking with other investors, and this is a shortcut. When you hang around other investors, sometimes you're in the right room, get connected with the right person because you're in the right environment. I was connected with somebody that understood, 1, real estate investing, 2, out of state investing. And through that, they were able to go back and recapture the 3 to 4 years of losses that were left on the table and stack it in my benefit so that I could offset gains moving forward. Now, this is where you get to get real clear. I'm not here to give you tax advice. I am not a tax professional. Your tax person should be advising and guiding you around some capacity of what you can and can't do to benefit from what we're doing in real estate. They shouldn't dictate on whether you grow or not. They should be guiding you through a formulated strategy plan on how to build healthy and benefit from the ownership aspect, which real estate is one of the better passive income vehicles you can find out there with amazing tax benefits. It's one of the back 3 pillars. There's 4 pillars. It's cash flow, appreciation, depreciation, your tax benefits, and equity stacking or debt pay down.
So the short version of this, if you own real estate, you're going to do better at tax time pretty much all the time. If you have a tax professional that helps you with real estate, they're going to really turn on the juice for you. I would say it's very rare. I don't know. I'm trying to think if I have any memory of anyone who paid more in taxes from having a rental. I'm sure there's somebody out there that did because they
for 3 to 4 years left all the benefits of ownership on the table because they simply didn't know. And here is the big catch. They were unwilling to learn or find out for me when they're the tax professional. Yeah, how about you? But I don't read the tax code, and I heard that book is massive, and I am not a tax professional by trade. So I'm really entrusting that team member to look out for my best interest. And when I ask the questions to go back to leading the team, you get to lead your tax person. How can I capture the benefits of ownership? What do I need to do this year to make sure I'm minimizing my taxable gains? How can I write off this? How can I depreciate that? When is it time for me to scale? When is it time for me to take a distribution? Like, these are all some random questions that came in my head as we were saying this, that I ask my tax professional now, who then strategizes a game plan for the tax year, right? Because what I do this year will reflect on next year's taxes. And if I'm miscalculating because they chose to take a vacation and not advise me, I could be paying a lot because I'm leaving benefits on the table, or a strategy that I needed to implement before the end of the calendar year this year. So tax team member professionals, when you have a portfolio, is a very important team member, although it's not part of your core four.
That's a very good way to describe it. You can definitely find these people. We have them in the community. We have a huge Rolodex. If we've worked with somebody who is great, we put them in our Rolodex and we pass them on to our students. We don't take kickbacks. We're not getting a bunch of referrals. We're here to help you be successful. That's the whole point. Andy asked, would having an LLC be nice at tax time? Short answer,
for me,
sure.
I'm not a fan of LLCs. I think people misunderstand them personally. Our build, we went 11 properties before we even looked into an LLC. And even then, we were advised through our legal team at the time that it's not necessary unless we need it for some sort of financing reason, less taxes. Because at a certain point, you run out of your ability to get traditional mortgages as an investor. Typically, a person can get 10 mortgages under their name. Oftentimes, their DTI, debt to income, brings that number down from 10. For us, it was 7, but then we learned how to do things differently and got better. But yeah, I think maybe after 11, we started, but it was because we started buying portfolios and using commercial loan products, which require LLCs less for taxable reasons. I always like to say, make it a problem where you need it. Until then, work with what everybody else works with, which most often people are buying in their traditional name and getting the best mortgage and rates because you're buying the normal way, I guess you would say.
Yeah. I mean, you can, just so you know, like I've seen so many people get hung up. Oh, I don't have the LLC set up. An LLC takes 30 minutes. Your person, whoever, like if we need to set one up, you can be in contract on the property and still assign that property to your LLC. So go out, look at properties, start making offers. Once you get under contract, if you want to set up the LLC, you can set up the LLC and close it into the LLC. You can do it at the closing table. I've seen people at the closing table be like, you know what? I want to put this in this LLC. It doesn't change your bank loan. It doesn't change any of that stuff. It just gets taken care of. So don't get hung up on the LLC. But
the thing I would add right here is what I hear Jazz saying in my head. Why are you getting an LLC? Is it truly for taxes? Is it truly for the loan? Is it more for the perception of protection? Like, why are you getting it, and is it necessary? Yeah. 9 times out of 10, you're getting it because you want it, not because you need it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it can be nice, but I don't think that it should not be like something that is necessary to buy properties.
I call it a distractor for those who are building a portfolio in the beginning, who don't own any real estate. Because a lot of information out there says, start with the LLC and build it first. Well, what do you have to protect or what do you have to put it in? Nothing. And then there's upkeep costs to it, right, Steve? I mean, you've owned LLCs.
Oh, yeah. I have several.
Yeah.
I actually just got dinged for one. I got dinged for one that I missed. I missed filing for. Yeah. It was like $2,000. And I was like, oh, blah. Yeah. But it happens. I mean, it depends. I do have them. There are so many different legal structures. Don't let it stop you from taking action. I didn't have an LLC for my first 30 properties. I just kept buying them. Yeah. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to keep buying them. I'm just going to keep buying them. Then it was like, I kind of put my head in the sand. I mean, this was 2003, 2004. I was a college kid. I was like, I don't have one yet. I don't want to move all the properties around. I'm just going to keep buying. And I kept buying and I kept making money. That's the important part. Do you do commercial 5+ units, complexes, things like that?
Yes.
And asking.
Yes, and it depends on your experience level. I do not recommend anything above, honestly, single family homes, your best starter property. If I were to share with you my take, and you guys take it for whatever it's worth. Single family homes are the easiest property to start a new strategy in a new market. Why is that, CJ? Well, because single family homes, or somebody living in one, or you're living in one. And when or if you choose that this isn't for you, it's one of the easiest things to exit from and possibly break even, if not make money, if you did it right.
I think most people make money.
They should. You miss the mark if you overpay, and it's likely because you have poor guidance, or you just simply don't know what you don't know.
I mean, I'll tell a story. One of my friends, entrepreneur, had the same thought. He was like, if a single family is good, multifamily is great. He bought an 8-unit building, had no idea what he was doing. He overpaid. Then he had problems with his tenants. Then he had roof problems. And then he had a bunch of move outs. And then he had a wall problem. He ended up sinking over $350,000 into that property to get it back to a place that he could turn around and sell it. And he sold it at a loss.
Yeah.
I gave him the same advice you just heard CJ give, which is start with a single family. You're investing out of state. Investing out of state has its own ball of challenges. You have to figure out your team. You have to figure out buying. You have to get your realtor correct. Buy 2 or 3 properties that way. You can always sell them. And if you're buying them correctly, you can sell them at a profit and go into multifamily if that's what you want to do. But there's so much to learn in this game, and trying to shortcut the process. This is the other thing that I hear all the time. Oh, $500 a month doesn't really do that much for me. I need like $5,000 a month. Well,
then buy 10.
How do you get to $5,000? You buy 10 over the course of a year.
Yeah.
This is not a get rich quick program. If you buy, I'm going to lay something else out for you. If you buy one house per quarter for the next 4 years, that's 4 times 4. That's 16 properties. 5 years from now, you'll never have to work another day in your life. That's pretty much how it goes, because equity goes up every year, rents go up every year. As long as you're buying correctly, that's going to take care of you. I put my link in the chat. If you guys have enjoyed this, if you want to learn more about how we help people invest out of state, we go through the whole thing with you. I'll show you what our team does, how we help you build teams, but most importantly, how you can do this, because this is not, CJ, have you met anybody that you believe can't do real estate?
No.
It's not rocket science, guys. It's literally having somebody show you the way, cutting out all the noise that's out here, and just focusing on a single path. We've helped, at this point, more than 700 people, I believe, get their first property out of state. We're here. We can help you. You can grab a link, or you can grab my link in the chat, book a call. CJ, anything to say before we get out of here?
No, just the question you just posed to me about, is there anybody that can't? Well, the Henry Ford quote comes to mind. Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right either way. So why not think you can? And with the guidance and support of somebody, whether it's us or somebody else out there, it doesn't matter to me. My desire is that everybody give this a shot and see if you actually like it. Create the result, then decide whether or not you're going to pursue Ford or you're going to go and pivot to something different.
That is a great answer. On that note, we're going to go ahead and log off. It's been great hanging out with all you guys. If you have thoughts, comments, anything like that, you can respond to the text or the email that got you here. That will get to us. If you want to grab a call, the easiest way is click the link that's in the chat. I'll jump on a 30-minute call with you. I'm happy to explain what we do and how we do it. Excuse me. I need some water. Guys, it's been awesome hanging out. We'll see you guys. We're doing these every 2 weeks. If you have questions, let us know. Otherwise, we'll see you back here in 2 weeks. Take care, guys.
Thanks, Steve.